everyone, and welcome to the RV Inspection and Care video and podcast. Today's subject is about how to handle an RV tire blowout. Now, before we get into that, let me invite everyone who's listening to subscribe to my podcast so you don't miss any of the great episodes coming up. Also, please visit my website at rvinspectionandcare.com. And there you'll find tons of articles and videos all about RVs and RV life. Now let's talk about this subject, how to handle an RV tire blowout. You know, blowouts are no fun no matter what vehicle you're in, but they're especially serious in RVs because of all the weight that they carry. And you need to especially give attention to blowouts that happen on the front axle, the steering axle, because that can throw off your front end and cause really serious damage. So what can you do in the case of an RV tire blowout? Well, number one, prevention is key. So before we go further, let's talk about a few things that you need to be doing to try to prevent tire blowouts. And number one is know what tire pressure you should be running in your tires for your RV, and then check your tires often and keep them there. Number two is maintain the proper weight in your RV. Don't overload it. This is a problem because a lot of people overload their RVs without even thinking about it. And so what happens is they're putting pressure on the tires and they're actually leaving them to be susceptible to a tire blowout. The third thing you want to do is make sure that when you're not traveling down the highway, when you're sitting still, that you keep those tires covered. Put tire covers on them. How would that help with tire blowouts, you might ask? Well, the number one thing that can weaken tires, believe it or not, is UV rays from the sun. It just bakes the sidewalls of those tires and bakes the oils out of them. They begin to crack, and when they do, the sidewalls weaken. In most cases, the blowouts will take place not in the tread, but in the sidewall. So make sure that you protect those sidewalls from being weakened by the sun. And also make sure that you replace your tires when they're ready to be replaced. Check those manufacture dates on the sides of your tires and replace them. Now, some people replace them every 5 years. Many manufacturers will say 6 years. Whatever, just make sure you replace them within 5 to 6 years. And that way, again, you don't leave yourself susceptible to weak, old tires that could be a tire blowout ready to happen. Finally, be sure that you monitor your tires as you're going down the road with a tire pressure monitoring system. These are great for RVers because they're going to tell you what's going on with your tires. Not just the tire pressure in many cases. They'll usually tell you about tire temperature. And you know, tires very often telegraph that there's a problem coming. And very often that's because the temperature goes up in those tires. If you know that's happening, you can very often get off the road and get it fixed without experiencing a tire blowout. So be sure to have a tire pressure monitoring system for your RV and also for the tow vehicle or the towed vehicle if it's a motorhome. Now, let's talk though about what happens if you have a blowout, even though you've done all these things to prevent it, because sometimes life just throws you a curve. Well, what should you do? All the experts say, number one, have both hands on the wheel. Get a firm grip, you know. Number two, and this is not very intuitive for many people, keep your foot on the gas. Now, I know how we all think, you know, when something happens that in your vehicle that you're not sure about, you usually put the brakes on, right? It's actually the worst thing that you can do. Why? Well, because when you have a tire blowout, the pressure goes sideways and it works against, it blows out the opposite side of pushing the RV in that direction. So as a result, the front of the RV can start to be turned sideways. If you put the brakes on hard at the same time, that rear end very easily can start coming around, and next thing you know, you lose control or maybe even flip the RV. So it's important to keep the gas on. That way the rear wheels are still moving you forward, trying to straighten you out. And if you've got both hands on the wheel, then you can usually keep the RV going nice and straight. Once that main event is past, you know, the big blowout's over and you're still going straight, well, then you can start to ease your foot onto the brake, slowly and gradually move off to the side of the road and get to a safe area. That's the way you really want to handle a tire blowout. That's what the pros tell us. But now there's another product that's made to even help further with this, and it's called the Safety Plus Bar. The purpose of a Safety Plus bar is to keep that front steering axle working to keep you in a straight line no matter what happens. I had it installed, and let me tell you, I really noticed a steering difference when I did. The bar tries to keep your coach going straight no matter what side forces apply to it. And that's a good thing. It works great in tire blowouts, but it also works good in side winds. You know, when you've got some heavy winds happening, blowing against the side of the coach, sometimes it moves you around on the highway. Well, the safety bar, I definitely can testify, helps you be able to go straighter, easier. Also, when you're being passed by big trucks, it also keeps you from being moved around on the highway as well. So there's a lot of good things that the safety bar does for you, but especially in a tire blowout, you want every bit of the odds on your side to keep that RV going straight and not turning on you. I had mine installed at the factory in Alabama. They did a great job. I highly recommend them. But the truth is that you can install it yourself. They provide information to help you know how to install it yourself if you choose to do that, or you know someone who's mechanically inclined. So all of the suggestions I've given you today are about how you can handle a tire blowout in your RV. And it's true that motorhome and RV tire blowouts can be stressful. They're not something you look forward to at all. But if you are prepared, if you've done your work to prevent them as much as possible, you may never have to deal with them. But if you do, and you know how to proceed in the ways we've talked about today, then you can handle an RV tire blowout in a safe and successful manner. Well, that's it for now. Have safe and happy travels, my friends. Until next time.